everybody. How are you? This is Jim from the Pain PT, and we're going to talk today about a rocket fuel that you have inside yourself that you can unleash to catapult you forward to healing. And this is actually the fuel of your anger, your frustration, your irritation, your aggravation, all the things that bother you around your pain, your symptoms, things in your life. And it's the one emotion out of all the what we call negative emotions. Now, there's no negative emotion, but the three that we consider negative are fear, sadness, and anger. And out of those three, the one that we're going to repress, suppress, avoid the most is anger. And it's the actual emotion that has the most energy in it that can push us forward to healing. And so, if we stop and think about fear for a moment, fear is a paralyzing energy in us. It's something that keeps us stuck or actually pushes us backward. We want to withdraw with fear. We want to flight. We want to get away, flee. So, if we're thinking about trying to overcome our pain, chronic symptoms, and we're stuck in fear, we're immobilized. We have no fuel source to push us forward. But we're stuck. Or we're moving backwards. We're heading in the wrong direction. We're becoming more anxious. And then that can lead us down the emotional scale to feelings of hopelessness, despair, depression, sadness, right? These emotions, fear, and then the lower emotions of apathy, sadness, shame, all these emotions, despair, hopelessness, there's no energy there. I mean, we're flat, we're depressed. We can't do anything. We feel like we're immobile, we're stuck. Now, if you move up this emotional scale and you take fear, which is basically where most people are when we're talking about chronic symptoms, where we're stuck in some fear cycle around the symptoms, around our condition, around getting better. And if we can just rise above the fear and face the fear, what gives us that ability is anger. A part of you is going to be angry about what's going on right now, about your condition. A part of you have been angry about things that happened to you in the past or things that are happening to you now. And anger gets a bad rap because it's seen as a destructive emotion. But what I'm going to tell you here today is that you can use your anger in a very constructive way as a way to push you forward in your healing. The energy of anger is mobilizing, it's activation. It wants you to take action. And if you can channel this in the right way, it gives you a willingness, a determination, a courage, and it gives you sort of this push to move forward through your fears so you can face your fears around your pain and whatever else you're dealing with in your life. So the point of getting in touch with anger is not to stay angry. It's not to blow up. It's actually to learn how to deal with this energy in you that's very strong. And if you're not aware, people can sort of have a very fast, volatile reaction to it. So we're learning to take this anger in you, this frustration, this aggravation, this irritation, and channel this into something positive to push you through. Now, I'm going to go over a couple of things here today how you can do this, and we'll talk more about this in some other videos. But essentially, the first thing I want to talk about is Dr. Sarno says in one of his 3 do's from Healing Back Pain book, he talks about one of those 3 major do's is talk to your brain, tell it you won't take it anymore. And so what he's saying is you talking to your subconscious mind, which is where all this stuff originates from, and you have to talk with conviction and authority to your brain, to your own mind, to convince it that you're okay, that there's nothing wrong and that you're not scared anymore. It's sort of like you've got to look this in the face, in the eye, and whoever blinks first is going to lose. And you can look at it another way. Would you rather come from a position of strength or a position of weakness in relation to what you're going through? So we want to think about this in terms of I want to get better. I have a desire to heal. And from that desire, I'm going to use this anger fuel in me because we have it. And I'm going to channel this into talking to my brain and saying, hey, look, no more. You're done. I'm okay. And here's the reason why. I didn't hurt myself. It's been so many months or years since this pain started. I'm okay, healthy. I can do these activities, these hobbies, and I'm going to do it. Brain, please settle down, please stop. And if you don't, I'm going to continue on until you do. Now, you've got to back this up with your, what can we say, walk the walk, your action. If you're telling your brain this and you're convinced and you're saying it with authority and conviction, coming from a strong, confident point in you, which is this anger that's boiling in you, you're not going to back down. You can't back down. Otherwise, you're moving down into fear again and you're going to stay stuck. You're going to regress. So, when we're coming from this anger in a constructive way, we're going to talk to our brain, our subconscious brain, with conviction and authority, and we're going to constantly talk to it and explain, hey, look, I'm fine. If you want to give me some emotional pain or you want to display what's going on to me in a different way, please do, but you don't need to give me this physical pain anymore because there's nothing wrong and I'm tired of it. So stop right now. And so you want to use this in a very powerful way, and you have to get in touch with this anger, which is in your chest. It's a burning energy. We all have it. And especially with TMS, we really have it. Most of us have learned to suppress or even worse, repress anger internally. The second thing that you can do from anger is it gives you this energy to start doing things. Okay, when you're angry, you can use this energy to move. It wants to do something. So you can go exercise, go for a walk, challenge yourself to do something that maybe you're not doing, that you're having some fear avoidance around. You're avoiding because you're afraid or you're scared. The third thing you can do from anger is you can learn to set boundaries in your life. You can learn to speak up if you don't want to do something. You can learn to become more sort of grounded in yourself and not being afraid. You don't want to be afraid. You're better off being mad than scared. You're better off being in anger than fear. And we're going to use anger to kind of move our way up out of anger, but to a higher place in ourselves. Now, I'm going to leave you with one last thing. And this was a study done in 2006, UCLA. They looked at 90 participants. And what they did was they had them do some arithmetic problems, counting backwards, different ways. And the researchers were sort of harassing the participants, saying, hurry up, get this done quicker. You're not doing this right. You get a wrong answer. And what they were looking for were people's facial expressions. And they were also measuring the stress response in the body, via cortisol release, blood pressure, heart rate. And what they found was that the people who reacted with fear instead of anger, in terms of their facial expressions, they showed signs of fear instead of being upset or angry. They had a much higher elevated stress response, cortisol levels, blood pressure, heart rate. And the people who actually displayed signs of anger, which was an appropriate response to what the researchers were doing to them, had a much lower stress response, reduced stress response. And this is really interesting because it's showing that anger was an appropriate emotion to what was going on. And the fact that these people acknowledged it and displayed it, they actually reduced the stress in their system. Where the people who stayed in fear and withdrew a little bit and became scared, their systems didn't settle down. So it shows us scientifically that it's better to use anger as a fuel than fear. Remember, fear is a fuel that keeps you stuck in the chronic pain cycle, whereas anger is the fuel that can be a propellant or like a rocket fuel to push you forward. If you can tap into it internally and use it in a very constructive way, not a destructive way. So we'll talk more about this in another video, but I find this really, really powerful, especially for people who are stuck in the fear cycle and they really just have a hard time getting going to move forward with their healing. So reach out with comments if you guys have anything to chime in about this. I'm going to talk more about this in some future videos, but yeah, reach out if you need any other help. You know where to find me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.